Hello, my name is Courtney, and I am the other half of Tractor Tales and Cattle Tales. And today, hopefully, I will be able to tell you my story and how I got started. My family has been involved in agriculture for as long as I can remember. I'd spend 1 week in the springtime, well, early spring, late spring, early summer, we would be working calves, and we would do my grandfather's and then a very close family friend of mine. And that would be something that happened every year. So I've always known cattle, and I've always enjoyed cattle. I made friends with a lot of the bulls, and I would, every time I'd go out and visit, or if I had to feed for any reason, my family would, I would always make sure that I'd go and visit the bulls and I'd feed them their cake because the bulls and I were friends. So I was about 8 or 9, and I decided I wanted to show cattle because my mom did. So that's okay. He won't hurt her legacy. Sorry, farm dog, new baby, doesn't always end well. He doesn't hurt them, but the mamas are still very cautious. So, for the most part, he does leave them alone. He doesn't want anything to do with them. Back to the story. There was a bottle calf and a bottle calf heifer, and so I decided that I was going to, the owners of that family friend basically was the one who had her, and they were like, well, you know what, if you want to show her, you can use her. And it was a good way for me to start, and being 8 or 9 years old, I did not have the strength to break a new animal in, so it was a very good start. That's okay, Mama. Then after she got to be probably the first year after I got into showing, okay, can't see me there, we go. I decided we had to go visit my great grandmother for some reason, and when we were out there, I found a High Plains journal, and there was a picture of a Highland, 3 Highlands on the front page cover, and I knew in that moment that I wanted some. So my mom decided that she would be, to me, the world's best mom, and she went out and she found me a done heifer calf on Craigslist. So we traveled the 6 hours and we found her, brought her home, and that would be Branson, whom we still have. Now, that is how I got into the Highlands. And the story so far is that after we got Branson, she wasn't registered. Frankly, according to anybody, she's not anything real special. In terms of price-wise, she's not what anybody would want. However, conformation-wise, she's a very good, structured animal. And so we do have her back in the herd. She'll die here. She started here, and she'll die here. That's kind of how it works. So we decided we were going to go the registered route, which was probably a good thing. So we decided we were going to go to Wisconsin because we found a 18-month-old heifer for sale, and then we went to another farm in Wisconsin and we found a bottle calf and a bred heifer. So we bought them, brought them home, and the bred heifer ended up not working out. I don't know if something in, my little one, I don't know if something in the trailer ride, or if it was just the stress and the fuss of it, but she ended up not wanting anything to do with people. She hated people. So I sold the bred cow after she had her first calf, and I retained that first calf out of her. I still have the 18-month-old heifer and the bottle calf, and the bottle calf is the one standing literally right behind me, and she's the one that just had the new baby. So upon buying those two, well, 3, and then down into 2, we got really into showing the Highland cattle. We traveled all over for them, mainly the Midwest states. It was fun, and I learned a lot, and I met a lot of really interesting people. Everybody that I met was extremely friendly and willing to help, and I was probably 13 or 14 years old, and at that time I really needed a mentor, and there's quite a few who took me under their wing and taught me a lot of what I needed to know. And I will forever be grateful for those experiences, because they taught me literally a lot. I can't even go through it and tell everything. And I want to say probably back in 2017 was the last year that I showed Highlands. It's just how it ended up working out, and I'm not upset about it. It provided an insight into the deeper meanings of my herd, what I wanted out of my herd, and it made me realize that I couldn't solely focus on what my next show was going to be, or the next animal that I purchased, without putting work into the herd that I had and building that, because that was the foundation of they were the foundation, and every animal that I had bought to that point was all for the simple fact of I wanted them in my herd for the genetics, for the conformation, and I was doing myself a disservice by not putting my time and my energy and resources into building the herd. So that became the next thing that I focused on, was buying myself a bull. I knew I needed one, but I was extremely picky. I was looking for something, something that fit all of my criteria. I had numerous people offer, that they had a bull for sale, and I was like, I had to be like, I'm sorry, that's not what I want. And I don't know, 16, 17-year-old me had not quite learned how to tell people no and not feel bad about it. So, and then right after I'd finally came to the realization that I wasn't going to find the bull that I wanted, and I was going to buy my first vehicle, my current bull came up. And so I had a choice to make, really. I could either not buy a bull, or I could buy a vehicle, a truck. So that way the vehicle that we had used for showing and stuff stayed nice. And, I made the right decision. I hope I made the right decision. But we ended up buying the bull. And that would be Braveheart. I'm sure he will show up in one of these videos. And Braveheart was the bull that I was looking for. I had admired his farm, I admired the breeders, I admired the genetics, and I got along really well with his current owner. His current owner had a great philosophy, and he was breeding towards a goal. And I liked the goal that he was breeding towards. And so I knew that Braveheart was going to, if Braveheart fit his needs, it was highly likely that Braveheart would fit mine. So we made the trek to Wyoming, and we bought him. And he did very well. And him and I had a very, very early come to Jesus meeting. I was told by a breeder that I admired for a long time that if you don't raise the bull, and most of the time if it's not raised by a woman, it can bring on issues. And so I was prepared for that, and him and I had a standoff before I ever loaded him on the trailer to come home. Him and I, we had our come to Jesus meeting, and from that point on, we had a very respectful understanding of each other. We knew, he knew my expectations, what I would and would not let him get away with, and he was the best bull that I could have bought for the area that I was in, the time frame that I was in. And when it comes time to buy another one, it's going to be very hard to replace him, and I will be as picky as I was the first time. He's everything that I wanted, and he taught me a lot when it came to owning a bull. And that will likely be the next, after he either can no longer do his job or I have to buy a new one, because either I'm retaining heifers or he injures himself. I would likely go to an AI school and do it that way. Stop it. So that's the story, and that's the history. I hope to be in the Highland Cattle for many years to come. They're a joy and a passion, and hey, ma'am, rude. Thank you. And so, yeah, her scratching definitely just made my brain go. But hopefully in the next couple months we will do some improvements on the land, and you guys can follow along on that. We will be moving some heifers and an older cow, the one that's just standing over my shoulder. We'll move her into town, and then they will be well on their way to their new owners. And so yeah, I cannot think of anything else. I can't. But yeah, so hopefully what I will be able to do for the channel and for the people following and watching is sharing the knowledge that I have been very lucky to obtain, and introducing new ways to do things to the people who are already in the Highland Cattle. One of the long-term goals is to be able to travel the country and film the farms and the people that I meet, and be able to record what for 20 years in the future is our present right now. You know, where the Highland breed is today, you know, what the farms are working towards, and that way in 20 years when someone that is my age looks back and be like, okay, you know what, that's what they were looking for, that's what they were working at, you know, and I really like that confirmation, or I really like the genetics they were using, I want to achieve to that maybe what I was doing at that time can help them, because it isn't easy to do it alone, and it isn't easy to do it without a mentor, because there are so many things that happen in the cattle business that unless you grew up and you were raised on it, you are woefully underprepared for it, because things change in a moment, in a matter of time. And it is nice to be able to have a support system to call on and be like, what is happening? Why is it doing this? Etc., etc. So that is a long-term hope goal. So maybe you guys will decide to stick around for that if that ever happens. But currently, the right nows, I had a bull year this year, so I will be cutting the bulls, branding them, castrating them, however you want to say it. And part of what is very, very bad in the Highland cattle is that people are selling bulls that should not be kept bulls. And it is swamping the gene pool with inferior genetics and bad conformation. And whether they're doing it on purpose or not, I don't know. But maybe that is something that can help other people that just don't know any better. This is not me looking down on anyone, calling anyone awful or bad, because everybody is new. Everybody has things to learn, and one of the bad things that I have seen is when you stop agreeing to learn things, that it goes downhill, because you can't, part of what being human is to keep learning, and that is what I hope to bring, I guess. And I feel like I'm repeating myself. But yeah, following this video, you will see the transport video of the heifers and the cow to their new pasture. They will stay there, well, the cow will stay there until she passes away, because she is pushing 17 or 18. That is not uncommon for Highland cattle. With this calf, I noticed that her teeth are not the greatest. I've supplemented her with grain, and she's raising the calf just fine. However, it would be improper for me as a breeder to allow her to breed back, have another calf, and not be able to support it or herself. Our winters are not always the kindest. It can be very cold and it can be very windy, and it is not easy to maintain their own body condition and raising a calf when they don't have the teeth to do so. So, yeah. And then probably this winter, you will see both Bryce and I working together to mow down part of the pastures, probably pulling out dead trees, and stuff like that. And then, of course, doing halter training videos and stuff like that. So, yeah. I think that will be the end of my conclusion, or my introduction, my bad. So if that sounds like something you will be interested in, I really hope that you follow along and you hit the bell. That is the farm dog right behind me. Yeah. So anyway, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything you think you might want to see, drop it in the comments, and it might be a future video. I don't know. We will have to see how it all plays out. So anyway, that concludes my introduction. I am Courtney of Cattle Tales, and I will catch you on the flip side. Thank you for watching.